Welcome to the 3026 Breakdown. I am your host, John Lee, and today we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming UFC Fight Night 103 in Phoenix with 5 burning questions for UFC Fight Night 103, Penn versus Rodriguez. This is not the best fight card, so we're going to have to get a little creative to make these questions interesting. Let's get started with question number 1. Who wants to see BJ Penn fight in 2017? So BJ Penn, legend of the sport. This actually hurts my heart to have to read BJ Penn here on video, but dude, you retired in 2011. That was 6 years ago. I was 26 years old then. You were 32. You're now 38. You're fighting a guy who's coming off a flying kick knockout, who's 24 years old, who's hungry. You're not going to win this fight. Why did you even take this fight? You're getting sexual allegation assault issues in Hawaii. What is going on? I was almost going to do a What's Up With Your Man feature on BJ Penn, but instead, I'm more concerned with the people who want to actually see this dude fight. This is almost a little dark, man. BJ's going to get knocked out. This is not going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be kind of like what we already saw in his last fight when Frankie Edgar TKO'd him in the 3rd round. That was not fun to watch, and that was 2 years ago. So now we're getting an older, slower, more damaged BJ Penn, who's no longer training at Jackson's. He's now training at the lab in Arizona. So that whole Jackson's thing that they were going to bring him back and resuscitate his career like Andrei Arlovski, that's not going to happen. And he's not fighting Dennis Seaver, who was his first opponent that he pulled out with, or Cole Miller. He's fighting an up-and-comer, a ranked dude, the 12th ranked 145er in the world, and a guy who's dangerous and can hurt him. I, for one, do not want to see BJ Penn fight, but hashtag will watch. Let's move on to question number 2. How good is Little Pettis? So if you've listened to my content before, you know I have a running joke that all little brothers in MMA should just be called Sergio, because Sergio Pettis is the bad brother. He's the Frank Stallone of MMA to Anthony Pettis' Sylvester Stallone. But there's actually been a little bit of a backlash now because Pettis got knocked out by Benoit, he got finished by Caceres, and now I think he's actually a little underrated. But he's actually not that good. The things that I question about Sergio Pettis are, number 1, no power, right? The thing that made Anthony Pettis scary was his fight finishing ability. His brother does not have that. He doesn't finish fights. The second thing is his heart. That Alex Caceres fight, man, he was doing good for a while, but as soon as Caceres put him in trouble and put him in bad positions, he kind of quit. So once I see a guy quit once, you're automatically on my never bet again list. So I would never bet on Sergio Pettis. But it's just questionable to watch a guy panic, tap, and quit. And so this fight's going to tell us a lot. Originally, he was scheduled to fight Jussier Formiga, which I think that would have been a really, really difficult fight for him because Formiga's the 4th ranked guy in the world right now, and he probably would have just taken him down and submitted him. But now he's getting John Moraga. And this is a little bit of a more interesting fight because Moraga, while he did fight for the title a few years ago, he's really a journeyman. He's a tough dude. He's a guy who's not great at anything, but he's well-rounded. He's not going to quit. And that's going to test Little Pettis. So the most interesting fight here is this fight, which will give us kind of a requiem on the status of Sergio Pettis as a prospect. Personally, I'm thinking I wouldn't bet on either of these guys. Moraga's already talking about possibly retiring after this fight, which is a huge red flag. But I do like the over 2.5 rounds. Right now it's a minus 210, which is a little pricey. But I would watch that line. If you like me, are a degenerate looking to gamble on this terrible fight card, that's a bet that I do like. Let's move on to the 3rd question. Can Nina Asarov make it 2 in a row for my favorite MMA couple? If you guys don't know, Amanda Nunes, who just beat up Ronda Rousey, is the girlfriend of Nina Asarov, who's fighting, and they're really, really cute. They did those embeddeds right before UFC 207, and just watching their relationship is really cool. I would totally watch a Fight Pass show that just followed them around day to day. But there's a big gap here between Nunes, who's the champion, and Asarov, who's kind of a middle-of-the-pack 115er. So the question here is Nina Asarov going to be able to capitalize on the improvements in training? They moved to ATT full-time a little bit ago. She hasn't fought in a while, so she's got a little bit of cage rust to overcome. But I really hope she's able to win, because that would be cool if we had a winning openly gay couple in the UFC. That would be something that they should promote. Honestly, they should be promoting Nunes more as the first openly gay champion. But maybe if her girlfriend starts winning, they can build them as MMA's power couple or something. So hopefully Nina wins, but kind of a tough fight. The clinch is really going to determine that fight, and I'm not sure which way to lean yet. Question number 4. Can Jimmy Rivera make it 20 in a row? So when I first put together this PowerPoint, Jimmy Rivera was fighting Bryan Caraway. And then in classic MMA fashion, about a week before the fight yesterday, Bryan Caraway pulled out. And this is after Bryan Caraway has been ducking Jimmy Rivera for quite a while. Last year, before Jimmy Rivera fought Uriah Faber went on the MMA Hour and basically admitted that he took the fight because Caraway wouldn't take it. So Caraway basically got backed into this fight, and then in true Bryan Caraway fashion, he decided to pull out in the last minute. So right now, Rivera doesn't have an opponent, but it looks like he might get John Dodson, which would be a crackerjack of a fight. That automatically makes this fight card about twice as good. I would pay. That's a pay-per-view fight. Like, I would pay money to watch Rivera fight Dodson. That's a hell of a fight. But Jimmy Rivera's on a 19-fight win streak, and this is probably the quietest, least talked about 19-fight win streak in the history of MMA. That's a lot of fights, man. And Jimmy Rivera's putting it together. There's a lot of people, like my good buddy Dan Levy of Best Fight Picks. He's totally on the Jimmy Rivera as a future champion bandwagon. And I could see it, man. He's really tough. He's smart. That's one of the things I always look for is fighters who are smart and predictable. Jimmy Rivera does not make mistakes. He does not give you chances to capitalize. You're not going to get him to do something sloppy. Like, that's why I was betting on him and Yair as a parlay before this fell out, because Jimmy was not going to get caught by Bryan Caraway. Like, the only way Bryan Caraway wins that fight is by submission, and Jimmy Rivera is not the type of dude who's going to get caught in a submission right now. And he's got confidence, man. Winning breeds confidence, and that dude hasn't lost in like 5 or 6 years. So hopefully they put together this Dodson fight. But man, if Jimmy Rivera gets to 20 fights in a row, hopefully we can give him some little love, man, because I feel like that is the great streak in MMA right now that no one's talking about. We all know about Khabib and 23-0. We all know about Tony Ferguson on the 9-fight win streak. But Jimmy Rivera has doubled that, man, and he's getting no attention. So hopefully they make this Dodson fight. It's an awesome fight of the night type performance, and we can start getting Jimmy some love. All right, let's move on to our last question. Is this really the best Fox card they could make? And the answer to this is obviously no. So since William Morris IMG took over, we've seen a big change in the way fight cards are being put together on Fox. Before, they always tried to put, a headliner at least. We got like Paige Van Zandt versus Michelle Watterson in like the Pretty Girl fight a little while ago. They put Demetrius Johnson on a couple of times. They put Nate Diaz on. Now we're getting Yair Rodriguez, who, while he's a good prospect, no one really knows him. He's not like a big name. BJ Penn was a name, and I guess there'll be some people who will tune in to see BJ get tuned up. But at the end of the day, like, they really did not give us any depth on this card whatsoever. And I think that it shows us that WME, they're promoting on ESPN. They're looking to get out of this Fox deal already, man. Like, to me, this is the beginning of them pulling the talent out of Fox because they're already looking to ESPN. You look at like the Ronda thing last week. The only person she talked to was Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, right? She's a WME client. She's one of their people. They set that up. That didn't happen by accident. So now they're purposely putting, like, if you look at the fight cards, I mean, now they're not even like announcing some of the fights like in a timely fashion. But if you look at the fight cards that they're putting on Fox for the last little bit, we're kind of getting the bottoms of the barrel. And I think what they're trying to do is purposely kind of drive down the interest in Fox so that they can get into free agency next year and really drive up those rights and hopefully sell to ESPN. That's what it seems like to me. This is pure speculation on my part, but it doesn't really make sense that at the beginning of the year, going up against playoff football, you're going to put on this card. Like, that's basically giving up. To me, this is like a punt of a card. And I understand that in football season, you don't get the best ratings, but a lot of cards in football season have done ratings based on the lead-in of the playoff game. So you're going to get a good lead-in on Fox with the NFC playoff game next weekend, the 15th. And then you're going to have Yair Rodriguez and BJ Penn, which is basically like a Bellator strategy of pandering to the big name from 10 years ago. So we'll see what the ratings are, man. But I would expect, like, the last one, Paige versus Michelle, did 4.7 million. I'm expecting this to do less than half of that. Like, I would be super shocked if this did 2.5 million as a rating because it's a really, really weak card. So hopefully WME will start putting more talent on these cards and actually making it something people want to see, but I am not holding my breath. Thanks for watching. That's going to wrap up this edition of the 3026 Breakdown. Be sure to give me a like on here, click the thumbs up below, and leave a comment, and I will talk to you very soon.